Chair, and thank you, Minister, for being here this afternoon. Minister, I'm going to concentrate on the Transportation 2030 vision, in particular highlighting the national trade corridors that you've identified as part of your strategy. Trade corridors, of course, that contribute to global markets, including waterways. Minister, I'm going to be a bit parochial today. Niagara, as you know, is my home area, and Niagara is an international border crossing, including a robust multimodal transportation network. Minister, can you comment on what your strategy can contribute, and with the work that you're doing to reduce bottlenecks, what that can mean for Niagara's international economic gateway?
Well, thank you very much for the question. As you point out, the National Trade Corridors Fund is, by the way, an extremely heavily, a very, very popular fund, very heavily subscribed, based on our initial first call for interest last summer. So there's no question that many regions across the country are interested in this fund, which, as you say, addresses projects where there are issues of bottlenecks or congestion in our transportation corridors. Now, there's no question that the region that you're referring to, which also includes the St. Lawrence Seaway, is a very important transportation artery in our country, and so as such is definitely a worthy and viable candidate. And so at the moment, this is a program that is based on merit. It's not an allocation by province, and we look at every submission that comes to us, and it's also in the vast majority of cases co-funding is involved, not only the federal but also other levels of government and the private sector indeed. And in the calls, in the announcements we've made so far, we've seen that we've been able to leverage money beyond the federal. But I would say to you that the region that you represent is an important transportation corridor for this country in getting our goods from the Great Lakes or to the Great Lakes and the cities around them out to the St. Lawrence and to foreign destinations.
Great, thank you, Minister. And with that as well, do you find it advantageous that, especially with our NAFTA negotiations being underway, do you find it advantageous that we also work with our neighbors to the south, the U.S. Neighbors, with respect to integrating a lot of our transportation networks as well as integrating our infrastructure investments, so that way we have a seamless transportation system that not only is national but as well international?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there are tens of thousands of trucks across the border between our two countries every single day. There are hundreds of flights that cross the border. There are many ships, and this speaks to a lot of traffic on the Great Lakes that from Canada to some of the 8 states that border the Great Lakes. And it is in our interest to harmonize to the maximum extent possible, so that in essence, when any mode of transportation crosses the border into the United States or in the other direction, they're not faced with a whole set of different rules with respect to safety or other issues. So harmonization has been a priority between our two countries, and I'm glad to say that it works pretty darn well. We're not totally identical, but we try to make it as seamless as possible.
And thank you.